Yes.
I've been homeless for like the last, I'd say
10 years.
8-10 years.
The Philippines, homeless in Canada.
Welcome once more to this video. I'm glad you've tuned in. If you're new here, kindly consider subscribing if this is the kind of video you like watching. But also share the video, share me out. Yeah, share. And in today's video, I'm bringing an update of the homeless people in Canada and the reasons why they are on the streets, with some of the facts at hand, and also what other Canadians think of the situation that is happening in their country. Thank you so much for tuning in. And
well, it's fucking freezing out there. Apparently there's over 10,000 people homeless in this city already, and the problem's getting worse. I don't think we're going to solve the crime problem until we solve the mental health and homeless problem in this city. Unless the plan is just to let them freeze to death.
You know, guys, I always share the positives of Calgary and of living here and how beautiful it is. But there's one issue that I think what I've seen has not been really addressed too much, which is the amount of homeless.
Being homeless in downtown Toronto. Canada's survival.
There's in the city. And I'm not saying it on a critical note. It's just heartbreaking to see it. And it's also something that I don't think people tell you or is shared enough to be ready to face it when you come here.
If there already wasn't enough reasons to be ashamed about being Canadian, here's another.
Amir Farsood has applied for medically assisted dying, known as MAID. He lives in constant agony due to a back injury, but has started the process for end of life because his rooming house is up for sale and he can't find anywhere else to live that he can afford. He doesn't want to die, but being homeless is not an option.
I know in my present health condition I would survive it anyway.
His doctor, who knows Farsood's real reason for MAID is his fear of being homeless, signed off on the application in August.
I don't wish to be dead. Even with the pain, even with the meds, I still want to be here.
Are you afraid to die?
Who isn't?
So MAID's, medical assistance in dying, is basically the option here in Canada to give people a dignified death. Now, I don't know how I feel about it as a whole, because it was originally intended to be used for people who had some kind of chronic illness that had no hope for the future, or some sort of impending doom where they were going to suffer a horrible death either way. But that's not what we're seeing here. We see a man who suffers a chronic illness but does not want to die because of his chronic illness, but instead wants to die because he fears he may become homeless and will die anyways on the streets. And the worst part about it is he was accepted. He was approved for MAIDs. This is disgusting. As a country, we should be ashamed that we cannot help our own that are in need, but instead usher them on to the next life so that they do not become a burden to us. In March 2023, MAIDs will open up for people who suffer from mental health conditions. What that entails, who knows, but if this is a sign of the future of our country, I expect a lot of unnecessary death.
Okay, so this commenter said that a lot of homelessness in Canada, people need to stop overhyping Canada. People can't get jobs more. So I'm here to tell you that the homelessness in Canada is not tied to job. It's actually tied to different things. One, it's tied to the fact that a lot of people are coming to Canada on visit visa. They are not well informed. Maybe their agents lied to them. They are not well informed. They come to Canada on visit visa and they now switch to refugee status. And based on that, they do not plan that, they think that once they get refugee status, they get work permit immediately and they can work. And it doesn't work that way. You have to wait for like up to 3 months before you can get that work permit. And within the 3 months, what will you do? Do you know what it is to stay in Canada for 3 months? Not just Canada, you're staying in Toronto, the most expensive city, for 3 months without a work permit. You are going to be on the street if you don't have family who can take you in. I know they have a shelter system and there's a way they give the shelters to people, but how many people can really stay in the shelter? So you come into Canada, you are not prepared. You don't have family who can help you, who can provide shelter for you. You are coming in thinking that you will get job immediately, or you get the work permit immediately, and you come in, you don't get your work permit for 3 months. You are earning $500 from the government every month. $500 cannot do anything, and you're in Toronto. It doesn't make sense. Why are you coming into Canada and coming to the most expensive city? Why don't you go to other cities like Ottawa? Like, there's so many refugees in Ottawa and other neighboring cities that aren't so expensive as Canada. So homelessness is directly tied to wrong planning from a lot of immigrants that are coming to do refugee. That's one. Second, homelessness is tied to the financial crisis. There's a financial crisis that is going on. Like Toronto is crazily expensive. Even the people who have 6-figure jobs now are struggling. You get. So that financial crisis is, I'll talk about it in another video. You can navigate that aspect. But based on the financial crisis, rents have increased. So what you have to do now is that you are coming here. You don't have to be living on one job. There are so many jobs in Canada. You are doing a factory job, you're earning $16 per hour. You cannot just do one factory job now. You have to be doing like 2 factory jobs. Or you cannot do factory jobs. You have to transition into another career. So the homelessness is not tied to not being enough jobs. It's tied to the fact that people are not doing proper planning.
Here's why I chose to be homeless and live out of my car. I'm gonna tell you about it as we hike to the top of Big Bend Lookout, and then I'll show you the lookout at the end. When I first started this, it was just a travel thing. I just wanted to travel and see more of like the country I live in, more of Canada. But as it went on, it kind of became something a little bit bigger. So in the beginning, when I did it last year, I had to charge my phone at Tim Hortons and McDonald's and places like that. So I'd sit there for like 2 hours and my phone charged. And the only other people besides me who hang out in places like that and get coffee and just sit there for 2 hours are very old people. Besides sitting on my phone or reading books or whatever, my next favorite hobby was to eavesdrop on old people. Turns out a lot of the conversations that they had, like all these different old people, were the exact same things. A lot of what they talked about was just pretty much the good old days and who's dying right now. So I thought about that a lot, and I thought, if that's what's gonna happen when I'm old, if when I'm old I'm just gonna look back at these times right now, and if these are gonna be the good times and all that's gonna be happening in the future is just people dying, well then I don't want to focus too much on the people dying stuff because I didn't live a cool life when I was young. So now I go out, I travel as much as I can, I take hikes like these, I go to places like this. That way when I'm old, I have cool stuff to talk about, cool memories to look back on, and I'm not just wishing I was young and wishing I could do things differently. But we made it to the top, so let me show you this view. Not too bad. Whole bunch of sand though. Imagine bringing a sled, just wheeling down there.
Wow, having you tune in was so pleasurable. Thank you so much. Remember to like, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell until we meet again. Thank you so much for supporting my content. I appreciate you. Thank you.